Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee's online worship service. My name is Dina McFeeters, and I'm honored to serve as Associate Minister. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all who mother in body or spirit. To all who have a mothering heart, may this day be for you. At First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee, we welcome people of all genders, sexualities, ages, races, histories, and bodies. We welcome your mind, your heart, and your spirit. We welcome all that you are carrying with you and all that your heart longs to set down. During the COVID-19 public health emergency, all First Church in-person activities have been postponed or moved online. You can join us, however, for a virtual coffee hour this morning after the service, where we chat in small groups on video conference. You can find the Zoom meeting link in the live stream chat or in your Friday announcements. Visitors and members are encouraged to connect. Just have to bring your own coffee. Please join the ministers to connect and reflect on Thursday at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Zoom. And you can find that link in your announcements and also the live chat. And please join Reverend Jennifer for lunch with a senior minister on Facebook Live on Monday from 12 to 12:30 p.m. And you get there by joining our First Church Facebook group. Also, all church members, please don't forget to attend our annual meeting next Sunday, May 17th at 12:45 p.m. Instructions on how to join that online meeting should have been emailed to you. Just follow the instructions. Look forward to seeing you there. Once again, I welcome you to our worship service by inviting you to repeat our mission after me. We gather to nurture the spirit, engage the mind, and inspire action. These opening words come from a poem by Marge Piercy called The Sabbath of Mutual Respect. The real abundance is the power to say yes and to say no, to open and to close, to take or to leave, and not to be taken by force or law or fear or poverty or hunger or need. Praise our choices, sisters, for each doorway open to us was taken by squads of fighting women who paid years of trouble and struggle that we might walk through these gates upright. Doorways are sacred to women, for we are the doorways of life, and we must choose what comes in and what goes out. Freedom is our real abundance. Let's watch Reverend Jennifer in our beloved sanctuary light our flaming chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Well, my friends, because of the ways our lives are being touched by loss and grief during this global pandemic, we started a new practice during Sunday worship called the COVID candle. During this unique time, we offer to light the COVID candle for any death of a loved one of our members. because people cannot gather with their family and community to mourn. If you have had a loved one die from COVID-19 or any other cause of death and would like the COVID candle lit in their honor during Sunday worship, please contact one of the ministers. Today, we light the COVID candle in honor of Nancy Spransky's brother-in-law, David Thayer, who died on April 2nd in Wauwatosa from congestive heart failure. He was 89 years old. This morning, we also have a candle of life to honor a death and a birth among our members. I am very sorry to share the news that Catherine Mars, known to us as Kate, died peacefully of natural causes with family around her on Saturday, May 2nd, 2020. Kate was 91 years old and had been a member of our congregation for 32 years. Kate suffered a stroke in 2018, and she spent the last 2 years nurtured by the love of her family, including 2 of her 5 children, Amy and Rebecca, who moved to Milwaukee to be near her. Information about a memorial gathering and charitable organizations for memorial gifts will be forthcoming. I am delighted that we have a birth to celebrate. Tracy Keller and Dennis Derby welcomed their son, John Hayes Derby, into the world on Wednesday, April 22nd, Earth Day, at 12:05 p.m. He weighed 6 pounds, 4 ounces, and was 20 inches long. Baby John is doing well, as are his older sisters, Elizabeth and Catherine, and their parents. Congratulations. As is our custom in this church, whenever we have a birth, an adoption, or a death among our members, we light a candle of life. Today, in honor of Kate Mars and John Hayes Derby. Here is our candle. As we enter into a time of spoken meditation, followed by shared silence, followed by singing Spirit of Life, I'd invite you to find a way, wherever you are, to ground yourself. Perhaps you can put your feet on the floor, maybe find a way to lift your spine so you can breathe deeply, and let your hands come to a resting place. This spoken meditation has become a tradition for us on Mother's Day. It's called Mother's Day Litany by Amy Young. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate with you. To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you. To those who are in the trenches with little ones every day and wear the badges of food stains, we appreciate you. To those who experience loss through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or running away, we mourn with you. To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make this harder than it is. To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, we need you. To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate with you. To those who have disappointment, frustration, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you. To those who lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you. To those who experienced abuse at the hands of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience and sit with you. To those who lived through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst. To those who have aborted, we remember them and you on this day. To those who are single and long to be partnered and mothering your own children, we mourn that life has not turned out the way you longed for it to be. To those who step parent, we walk with you on these complex paths. To those who envision lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is not yet to be or not to be at all, we grieve with you. To those who will have emptier nests in the upcoming years, we grieve and rejoice with you. To those who place children up for adoption, we remember how you hold that child in your heart. And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you. This Mother's Day, we journey with you. Mothering is not for the faint of heart, and we have real warriors in our midst. We remember you. Let's watch Reverend Jennifer ring the singing bowl, and then we will dwell together in shared silence.
Good morning. My name is Beth Monholland, and I am honored to serve as your worship associate on this Mother's Day. In Marge Piercy's poem, The Sabbath of Mutual Respect, she concludes by saying, "Doorways are sacred to women, for we are the doorways of life, and we must choose what comes in and what goes out." I've loved this poem since I was a budding young feminist in my 20s. Those closing words have always reminded me that each choice before me is a doorway, a threshold I stand on because of the choices of others. Today, Mother's Day, is a good day for all of us to be reminded of the doorways of life. But for me personally, this is also the threshold of a brand new year. Today is my birthday, and so I cannot help but reflect on the choices made for me and by me that created so many doorways for me to walk through, that have led me to the doorway of this new year. I stand on a threshold whose foundation was laid by my maternal grandmother, Ethel Elizabeth, for whom I was named. Her strength and abiding love formed the shape of who I have become. She lived in poverty all her life and was denied the benefits of formal education, but she soaked up knowledge wherever she could, collecting books and ideas and sharing that love of learning and of the wider world with me. I stand on a threshold imbued with the boundless generosity of Rose Darlene, my mom, who gave me life and whose example of giving I try to emulate. I can't even count the times that she has stepped up and from her own often meager means helped people she doesn't even know. Once, she single-handedly furnished the kitchen and living room of the first apartment for the son of a friend, helping that young man to get a start on his life. I stand on a threshold permeated with the music and determination of Minnie Louise, my aunt whose birthday I share. Her fierceness is packed into a tiny little body, not even 5 feet tall, less than 100 pounds, yet she could put the fear of God into men twice her size and regularly challenged authority when she had just cause. I'm grateful for my little sisters, April and Sunshine, yes, their real names, who ushered me through doorways of unconditional love from the moment I met them. Being a big sister to them has been one of my life's greatest blessings. And watching them become the amazing women they are, despite facing hardships I've never had to face, teaches me daily that we can choose differently. We can remake our lives. Plus, they gifted me with nieces and nephews who live in my heart as closely as they do. I'm grateful for Dan, my partner in life, who has walked with me now for over half of it, who has encouraged me over and over to take risks I never thought I could take, who has helped me to move over thresholds I thought I couldn't cross, and who has believed in me when I didn't always believe in myself. As I stand on the threshold of the new year, I want to honor all of the doorways that these people and so many others have created for me. They each have been a doorway of my life, giving birth to ideas and to love that are now a part of me. And that, in turn, has given me the strength and courage to choose, in the words of the poem, what comes in and what goes out. Even so, as I look out on the doorway in which I stand today, I tremble with fear and anticipation. I am choosing to walk a new path, to leave behind the safety and comfort of my current life and step through a doorway on the road to ministry. I'll be attending Meadville Lombard Theological School this fall, and while I have no idea what new thresholds I will cross in the coming years, I know I carry strength and generosity and determination and gratitude and joy and love through all the doorways of my life.
Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Thank you for that reminder to be mindful of our breathing, of our power to make a choice, to set an intention for what we will breathe in and what we will breathe out, what we will let across the doorway of life, the threshold of our lungs, the threshold of our skin, the threshold of our day. So much seems beyond our choice, beyond our control these days that we forget that we can set intentions. We can notice thresholds, even in daily processes as ordinary and as essential as breathing. In the process of writing her book, Parenting as a Spiritual Journey, Rabbi Nancy Fuchs Kramer interviewed over 100 parents about their experiences of parenting at both special times and ordinary times, and what they had learned about their spiritual lives in the midst of it. One of the parents told her, "When my baby was little, if she didn't wake up in the middle of the night, we would wake up anyway and go in just to check her breathing." He went on to say, "At that moment, it just seemed so natural to start saying the Jewish prayer for waking up. Thank you for restoring my breath to me. When I woke each morning, I would put on my prayer shawl and just say that one verse. It was all I had time for. As the years went on, my daughter would often curl up in my lap when I said it. When my daughter was 6, she started sleeping later than I did, but she'd often instruct me to wake her up so she wouldn't miss the prayer. Thank you for restoring my breath to me." We know that the struggle to breathe is one of the terrifying effects of having a serious case of COVID-19. Breathing cannot be taken for granted during this pandemic. So much cannot be taken for granted anymore. Social, emotional, physical, and spiritual support are dramatically impacted at the most basic thresholds of the life cycle, the beginning and end of life, the birth experience and the death experience have dramatically changed during this pandemic. Many of you are probably aware that most prenatal care has moved to telemedicine, and hospitals severely limit who can be in the room for the birthing process. Much of postpartum care is conducted virtually too. Smita Nadia Hussein, a mother of 2, gave birth on March 17th in Morristown, New Jersey, accompanied by just her husband, rather than her support network of mother, sister, and doula. She told the New York Times, I didn't feel like it was unfair of the hospital. I thought it was unfair of the universe." For those of you who are pregnant or who have given birth in recent weeks, or whose adoption papers finally went through, I'm sure this is not the world you thought you were going to bring a new child into. You might be frustrated with the unfairness of the universe too. The birth plan you carefully constructed cannot be followed. The social network ready to support and celebrate with you, from the baby shower to someone helping with meals and laundry, an extra set of hands to hold the baby, someone to take the older kids to the park. The list goes on of the usual ways you would be supported that cannot happen. And the level of anxiety leading up to a birth has increased. Because of the extra precautions due to COVID, there is fear that a mother and baby might be separated from each other if one of them has a fever. Birthing, a natural process, is more medicalized during this pandemic. Pregnant women at full term are offered the opportunity for induced labor to help hospitals control the patient load. Yet, non medically necessary induction is controversial and can lead to a cascade of interventions. There are other kinds of separation. Everyone wears a mask in the birthing room, including the laboring mother. Doulas coach through laptops, phones, or tablets and can't offer hands on comfort measures. Doulas are getting creative, however. The doula I spoke to last week told me she's been doing her prenatal coaching through her laptop and asked her husband to put a pillow under his shirt and demonstrate some of the positions as she talked the couple through comfort measures. This man will remain unnamed, but bears a striking resemblance to our congregation president. Unfortunately, postpartum concerns for depression or anxiety amongst new moms are heightened during this pandemic due to the isolation at home after a birth. Catherine Hall Trujillo, founder of Birthing Project USA, which focuses on improving Black maternal health outcomes, told the New York Times, "Many women already distrust the healthcare system, which they experience as racially biased. We have spent a lot of time convincing Black women their link to survival in the healthcare system is their doula. Now they don't even have that." Birthing in the best of times is unpredictable and involves some risk factors. During pandemic, there is even more anxiety about potential dangers. What if the mother or spouse or baby tests positive for COVID? A UNICEF USA Facebook post on May 5th reported that an elementary school teacher took in a newborn baby after the baby's mother, father, and brother all tested positive for COVID-19. Luciana Lira teaches English as a second language to students at Heart Magnet Elementary School in Stamford, Connecticut. According to the Post, Lira received a call from a student's mother, Zully, who asked her if she could take in the baby after Zully tested positive for coronavirus. The father and the baby's brother, who was Lyra's 7-year-old student, later found out they also had coronavirus. The baby was born 5 weeks early from an emergency C-section at Stanford Hospital, which is when Zully was diagnosed with COVID-19. After the baby was born April 2nd, Zully became seriously ill and was placed on a ventilator for several weeks. Zully was released from the hospital and sent home on April 25th, but the family was still recovering. Can you imagine? And yet the teacher stood in for the mother and gave that skin-to-skin care that is so important. There are other separations that are not as life-threatening going on, but are still powerful. That human urge of your extended family to welcome the baby in person now happens through the window or on a computer screen. Even the baby's grandparents, aunties, and uncles cannot hold this new body close and breathe in that new baby smell as they kiss its head. There is a longing in our skin that is denied satisfaction. Columnist Philip Chard wrote about skin hunger in his column Out of My Mind in Shepherd Express last month. He wrote, touch. Most humans yearn for it. And for many, mental well-being depends on it. Caring touch can release endogenous oxytocin in the brain, the so-called love hormone. Research shows positive physical contact is central to human communication, bonding, and mental health. It is also a primary means for exhibiting compassion. Sadly, during a pandemic, for many, loving touch proves in short supply, if not altogether absent, making it the most starved of the senses. Those in households with loving people or pets can draw on this resource to satiate what some call skin hunger. However, for those living alone, separated from loved ones, or quarantined, the absence of caring touch creates its own version of emotional malnutrition. Seems to me that after 8 weeks of staying home, we need to pay attention to whatever version of emotional malnutrition we or our loved ones may be suffering. Is this as important as food insecurity or job loss? No. But isolation and emotional malnutrition is part of the human experience on a greater scale than usual during this pandemic. I think we should acknowledge it. Adults are separated from their elderly parents, only able to wave or press a palm to a window. Parents and their adult children don't know when they'll be able to hug each other again. Grandparents and grandchildren just wave or blow kisses through smartphones. Healthcare workers may be living in their basement or a borrowed mobile home, away from their spouse or kids, to minimize possible transmission of the virus. Patients dying in the hospital or in an elder care facility are accompanied on that journey over the threshold with just the press of a health worker's gloved hand or just the sound of their loved one's voice over the telephone. Our skin is hungry. Corey Floyd wrote in Psychology Today 7 years ago, our bodies know what they require to function properly. And research suggests that affection belongs on that list, right behind food, water, and rest. In a recent study of 509 adults, he examined the construct of skin hunger and the social, relational, and health deficits with which it is associated. The results were consistent and striking. People with high levels of skin hunger are disadvantaged in multiple ways compared to those with moderate or low levels. Specifically, people who feel more affection deprived are less happy, more lonely, more likely to experience depression and stress, and in general, in worse health. They experience more mood and anxiety disorders and more secondary immune disorders. Affectionate contact is so necessary for a healthy life that we suffer when we don't get enough. When I was a massage therapist in a previous life, I was enthralled with a book called Job's Body. In the chapter about skin, body worker Dean Juhan wrote, the skin is an open barrier. The two major functions of our surface layer are to be a barrier, effectively containing within its envelope everything that is ourselves and sealing out everything that is not. On the other hand, skin is an open window through which our primary impressions of the world around us enter into our consciousness and structure our experience. Touch, he wrote, is the chronological and psychological mother of the senses. In the human embryo, the sense of touch develops in the 6th week when we are less than an inch long. The skin and the brain develop from exactly the same primitive cells. Surface and innermost core spring from the same mother tissue. The skin is no more separated from the brain than the surface of a lake is separate from its depths. The two are different locations in a continuous medium. What does this all mean? Well, it seems to me that during this challenging time of pandemic, when a single parent gets no break, in this time when divorced parents sharing custody have to negotiate agreements about COVID precautions or decide which parent gets the children indefinitely, in this time when some parents and children are separated from each other and others are in constant contact, the stress of emotional malnutrition is real. We are not able to cross over thresholds like we expect to, like our bodies hunger for. Both at the beginning and end of life, we are separated in ways that seem wrong at our very core. Our skin is hungry. Some doorways of life are not available to us. We are held back from accompanying one another across the threshold. In the book Parenting as a Spiritual Journey, one father told the author about the personal imagery that summed up the birth experience for him. He said, "There was a time in my life when I lived in a stone farmhouse in the hill country of Tuscany. The windows were just open spaces, no screens or panes, covered with heavy wooden shutters. At night, we would close the shutters. In the morning, I would awaken in a room that was completely dark. I would get out of bed, walk to the window, and throw open the shutters. In 1 second, everything was transformed. Suddenly, the room was filled with the sight of lush green hills, with golden light pouring in, with gentle breezes, with the smell of wildflowers, with the sound of hummingbirds. That was the way I felt in the minute after the birth of our baby. Someone had just opened a window." My friends, there are thresholds we think we can't cross, and then we do. The pain of giving birth is one of them. The pain of witnessing a loved one's death is another. We know there are thresholds we think we can't cross, and then we do. This pandemic is one of them. The pain of giving birth alone, the pain of dying alone. These are thresholds we cross because we have to. The doorways into and out of life we did not expect. I can't think of anything to do about this except to call upon the mothering heart deep inside each of us. Call forth the compassion that lives in our mothering hearts and throw open the window. Let it pour out. May we pause before the new thresholds that appear before us. May we dig deep into our mothering hearts and choose to open the doorway of life. Let's now hear from Dale Skaggs, who invites us into generosity.
Good morning. We know this coronavirus pandemic is affecting our members in many different ways, but for those of us who are able to give right now, it is more important than ever to share our resources with people who have been harder hit by the pandemic. Our church supports members and friends of our congregation spiritually, emotionally, and materially, and supports people in Milwaukee through our relationships with our community partners. Your pledges are the foundation of our congregation and the core of our spiritual practice of generosity. In addition, we are grateful for non-pledge gifts from folks who appreciate our online ministry and are benefiting from it. We also have a special fund for people who need financial support called the Minister's Discretionary Fund. You can give to the church by texting 73256 with the message "Give to UU $." The word "give," the number 2, UU $. Follow the prompts and choose pledge payment, non-pledge gift, or minister's discretionary. You can also give to First Church by going to our web-based giving link onrealm.org/FUSM/give/First Church. You can see both these options on your screen. We also encourage you to give directly to our community partners. You can find a list of their needs on our website at uumilwaukee.org/support-Milwaukeeans-COVID-19. That link should be on your screen as well. Today, we're highlighting the work of the Interchange Food Pantry, which feeds people from all over Milwaukee. To give to Interchange, go to the GoFundMe page at the link on your screen, or you can go to gofundme.com and search for Interchange Food Pantry. All of your offerings to our community partners and to First Church will be gratefully received. And now, as always, but especially at this time when our interdependence is so evident, thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Patricia. That was beautiful. These closing words are called On the Brink by Leslie Takahashi Morris. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create: a deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a greater generosity of spirit, a deeper joy in this life we share. Be well, my friends, be well. Let's watch Reverend Jennifer extinguish the flaming chalice in our beloved sanctuary until we are together again next week.